So the doctors told me that I should never spend the winter in New York again. It was tantamount to suicide. So I had got out of New York, but not far enough. And then I decided there was only one place to spend the rest of my life, and that was Key West. And a friend of mine who was in my apartment while I was up north found this house, which was in a very sad state. It cost me more than twice as much to fix it as to buy it. But I've never regretted it. I think it's a lovely house, and I'm perfectly happy here. I enjoy my life in Key West. It's very much my own life. If you take Key West at its best, you live your own life according to your own rules. It's not a fussy town. It's an open town. You can be what you like, how you like. And of course, I love the weather. I don't know, there's a freedom about the place. And I find it a friendly town. Friendly town. I don't know the names of 1/4 of the people who hail me on the street, but they do, you know, and I hail back and so on. And yet it's not small town. I don't feel any small town atmosphere about it. You do what you like, how you like, you know, and there is a concern for people. Richard Walter Jenkins. No. Yes, indeed. Richard Burton. He wanted to be a writer, and he wrote one called A Christmas Story. And it's about his life long before I met him. His mother had 13 children. 2 died at birth, and she died in giving birth to the last one. Richard was the one before that. His eldest sister, a wonderful woman, brought up him, and the eldest brother brought up the baby. And I was the senior teacher in the school, the Port Talbot Secondary School, the high school. I did a play for the BBC, a radio play on Shakespeare's school days. Shakespeare as a schoolboy. And they told me, bring all the other boy characters from your school, because you can teach them to speak English, you see. And he came. I didn't know this. He spoke 3 words, and I said goodbye. And I turned him down for the first job he tried for. I said, well, if you want to be an actor, you'll have to change your voice. He said, all right, change it. He was telling me how unhappy his life was. I was staying in a private house, but there were several lodgers. And there was one who'd just been called up to the army. So I said, half meaning it and yet not meaning it. I didn't think it was possible. I said, well, there's an empty room in my house, you can have that. He said, can I? And that's how it started. He's coming to live with me. He became my ward. Changed the name officially to Burton. And he always referred to me as his father. When he was a boy, first under my care, he wanted me to teach him to sing. And his voice was terrible, broken in 1,000 parts. He begged me to teach him after school. We went into the hall together, and the piano was here at right angles to the audience, and he was facing the audience, so I didn't see him. Well, the noises that came out of his mouth were awful, awful. And finally, I couldn't resist it anymore. I couldn't play anymore. I broke down laughing, laughing, laughing. And he got so furious. He knew he was bad. He got so furious, he stormed out, crying, someday I'll show you, I'll show you. On the opening night of Camelot on Broadway, with his dressing room filled with people, he stormed through them. When he saw me, he said, well, I showed you, didn't I? When he left Sybil and went with Elizabeth, with whom I'm very friendly now, but not then, I didn't speak to him for nearly 2 years. And then he was doing a tryout of Hamlet in Canada. And I knew there'd be trouble, because the director was John Gielgud. Now, John Gielgud's Hamlet is as different from Richard's as you can imagine. And then there's this voice over the phone. This is Elizabeth Taylor. Richard is having great trouble with this Hamlet. He says the only one who can help him is you. Will you please come up? And I did the cruelest thing I've ever said in my life, I think. I said, I'll ask Sybil. Anyway, I went to see the show, and I saw the play, and I knew exactly what was wrong. He's been trying to play Gielgud's Hamlet, and he can't. Well, after the show, we did what I've done several times with him. We stayed up all night going over the script. On the Tuesday morning, I got a phone call. Hume Cronin, who had been playing the Polonius, was ecstatic. He said, "What have you done? We're all better." I hadn't spoken to any of them. Then he wanted to come over in the January, and he was going to stay for 3 weeks with Sally, because he wanted me to work with him on King Lear. And that was great. A month later, I got a call from Sally from Switzerland to say that he had died in the night. He had asked her for a cup of tea, going to bed. She made the cup of tea, and he went to sleep, and he never woke up. It's a marvelous death, but it's awful for those who are left.